sort of left. There's nothing really to his character. You tell me, Matt, when was the last time we ever saw a guy getting over with the fans just through smiling and, you know, that kind of baby face? That just doesn't work anymore, does it, in 2017? I really think they need to come up with something better than just that for the guy, because he's obviously talented, but you've got to have something about yourself. Otherwise, it's just going to get very stale. And I can almost see him in the sort of Neville situation where he'll just have to be a heel, and it won't really suit him to be, but he'll have to be just to make a change for his character. What do you think of Apollo Crews since he's got up, Matt, and especially on SmackDown so far?
Yeah, I mean, like, there was a whole time when we was thinking, where is he? You know, he just didn't appear on SmackDown. Whether he was doing, like, matches before they went on the air, I don't know. But it's just never really took off, you know? Yeah. As soon as he got on SmackDown, they looked like they didn't know what to do with the guy. It was just... So this is another one of those cases where he would have been so much better suited for more developmental time in NXT, because, like you said, he's just there, he smiles, he's supposed to be a likeable guy, but it just doesn't translate through the camera. We don't get that. He doesn't talk that well, you know, he tries, but like, he doesn't really have any jokes or anything funny about him. He doesn't have any aggression about him. It's just like not tailor-made for what you would think is wrestling, but his in-ring skills cannot be denied. You know, the guy is a great wrestler, and he definitely deserves his spot in WWE. It's just WWE is like, well, wrestling like entertainment. It's just lacking the entertainment kind of quality here. But I hope they kind of figure it out for him. It's just putting him in a feud with Dolph Ziggler at this point. It's more damaging to him than not being in the feud, or just like he was absent from SmackDown, because now he's just like being portrayed as a loser now, because although he's winning matches, like the last image of anyone is seeing of him most of the time is him on his back.
Yeah, no, totally with you. In terms of this match, I've got to say, I didn't really get it, and I didn't really enjoy it either. I think all three of them are so talented, but I mean, none of them really. It didn't do anything for any one of these guys in the end. Like, I just don't see that it done anybody a favour. So I really didn't get it, and there was just something very disappointing. I mean, I'm going to give this one quite a low grade of 2 stars, just because I was quite disappointed with what we got. I wasn't looking forward to it too much going in, but it just sort of wasn't great. It was over fast as well, and I didn't get the payoff. Like, I didn't get the feeling that it was worth it for any one of these guys. Matt, what rating did you give this one?
I gave it 2.5 because at least it had some interesting ideas. Sure. Like, it removed Kalisto from the equation early on, and you know, and then somehow the faces still managed to win. But 2.5 because it just really lacked something. Like, it lacked a direction. Like, I can't see where they're going with this afterwards, and like the actual ending of the night, it just didn't really feel right. It felt like if Dolph Ziggler was going to come out of this in any sort of credibility, he should have won the match, and then perhaps then had the other two sort of get their revenge on him, but it just felt the wrong way round.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a bit shocking, really. Okay, next we got the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Turmoil match. American Alpha, the reigning champions, up against the Usos, Heath Slater and Rhino. Of course, the Fabrice, of course. I almost forgot about those two poor guys. The Ascension, and of course the Vaudevillains themselves. I mean, how far have they gone down the pile, Matt, since they've got up? This was, this is the kind of match that really was a bit of it was just a bit messy. I didn't enjoy it too much. I think you've got American Alpha in there that are extremely talented. I think the Usos are extremely talented, but I think with these other teams, like, nothing against them too much, but I think like by having the American Alpha associated with all these other teams, it lessens their effect to a big degree, and I just think that none of those other teams have really done a lot, as especially the Ascension and the Vaudevillains. Like, how on earth they're supposed to be competing in this, I don't get it, but It was like, yeah, just chuck everything at it because we haven't got enough singles guys because they're all in the chamber. So we need to put something here instead. Matt, what did you think of the match and the sort of stipulation to it? And was it something that you were going in thinking this could be something amazing?
It felt to me like something they could have done on SmackDown. I don't know about you, but like once I saw the first two starting teams, I kind of had the impression that I knew the exact order that these teams were going to come out in. Yeah. And to my miraculous surprise, I was correct. That Heath Slater and Rhino would only be eliminated by the next heel team that would come out, and that would be the Usos. And because they're the only dominant heel team that they have on SmackDown, so they'll be the rightful ones to eliminate them. And then that once they are out, then there's going to be the Alphas coming in. The only thing that did kind of take me by surprise was that the Ascension played such a prominent role because since they come up from NXT, they have been kind of the laughing stock of the tag team division. They have had nothing thrown their way, not even scraps. Like they've just been using the butt of jokes most of the time. So when it came to them, like the Alphas were like laid to waste by the Usos. I was kind of thinking, okay, and they're so inconsequential these days, the Ascension, that I forgot they were in the match. I was kind of thinking, who's coming out next? And I almost got myself too excited. I was thinking, well, maybe there's a surprise entrant. Maybe it's the Revival. Oh, how awesome would that be if the Revival came down now and won the titles? And then when the Ascension came out, I couldn't describe how disappointed I was. Nothing really shone for me in this match. I mean, it just seemed a bit desperate at times, and WWE's sort of vague attempt at trying to get people interested in this division. But to be honest with you, other than when the Wyatts were involved in this a little while ago, nothing's really gone too well for that. We have had a lot of people say about these titles, and really, do they really work? And that would be my question. I mean, just as an overall point, Matt, that we've got two titles on SmackDown that have no history to them whatsoever, being the women's title and the tag team title. And I do really feel that if you look at the comparison here, I know that you might say, well, look at Raw. They've been sort of swapping it around, but you feel like Charlotte is the dominant of all women, let alone just Raw. But you feel like that title really is the one, and you feel like the tag team thing here is very similar. Like you had a team like New Day who had to be taken out after how long, that record length of time. And you feel with this, it's going to be a lot harder for them on here, Matt, because there's no history with this. It's just like a title, made up title almost, just for something to go for. And I do really feel that WWE made a huge mistake not having an exclusive divisions, whether it be tag team on one and women on the other, or cruiserweights on one, etc., etc. They really should have done that, because it just gives you a bit more identity as well. I just feel like they're trying to be two of the same things, yet we're being told they're so different, but they're kind of not. Just one is B and one is A. And I think that's a classic case of this. So I do feel this division especially is definitely short on star power. And even though people will say, well, how about the Revival going up? Listen, the problem with Revival going up, as much as they're going to be, they're one of my favourite teams, by the way. 100%. I've always enjoyed their work, but like them and American Alpha, for all of us that have been following NXT, we're like, well, hang on a minute, we've seen that. We've seen it 1,000 times, and they will have great matches, but still, it's nothing fresh there. So I don't even know if that's the answer, really. I thought the Usos were going to be doing a lot more, but again, they just haven't been as creatively good with those guys as need be. I thought the heel turn would be perfect, but it's just gone flunked a bit. I mean, this again, a long match as well. This went just over 15 minutes, quite long, and it was very predictable. And I got to say, I will sound very negative on this, but when I was watching it live, and even when I kind of was watching it back a bit, I kind of skip through some of the stuff. For me, this was a 2-star as well. It just, like Matt said, for me it was a SmackDown kind of match. This was not like
and again, it's difficult because do you call this a pay-per-view? It should be, but it kind of isn't. I don't know, but yeah, it was a 2-star match for me. Matt, what ratings do you give this one?
Yeah, it was very scripted for me. So for me, yeah, also a 2 stars. If for instance, like the Alphas had started the match and lasted till the end, then I would have been more impressed with it. It wouldn't have been like a formula that I was expecting. But everything was just so like run of the mill, so like from A to B that there was no excitement.
No, yep, totally with you. Okay, next up we had Nikki Bella up against Natalya. And this ended in double count out in the end. The match just going just over 13.5 minutes. Matt, going into this one, the feud and everything, you know, they've done a few segments, you know, a few bits where, you know, they'd had that little brawl on Talking Smack and all the rest of it, trying to get some attention. But what did you think of this match, Matt, and also the feud between these two, and you know, does it work?
Well, I have to say the feud is quite weak. You know, it's just the whole bitching scenario. Like Natalya will say something slightly offensive, Nikki's supposed to take that as super offensive. You know, I don't really like that kind of style. I think anything that has been said really wouldn't have much effect on Nikki at all, really. And but what I was happy to see though was that, you know, a lot of rumours have been going around now that Nikki's neck is a little bit of a dodgy issue. But during this match, she looked fine, and I was happy to see that perhaps that's all it is. Perhaps it's just rumours, you know. Yeah. I would hate to think that she would be on her way out, because people have always had a kind of like a love-hate with like Nikki. They either love her or they hate her, but I think she has improved so much, and you know, for her to sort of be on her way out of the company at this point would be such a shame, because this is like her peak. This is like where she is just like come leaps and bounds from when she were. And you know, I think in this match, when people are saying like, does she actually have the skills to wrestle? Yes, she definitely has, because Natalya is well established. We know that. We can't question Natalya's skills, but she definitely held her own in there, and they bounced off of each other really well in this match, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I kind of.
Just a shame about the ending.
Yeah, I didn't mind the match, but you know, I feel like the feud is like you said, it's very weak. It's also very difficult as well, and this plays into the whole Total Divas part. Is that the fact that Natalya, when she's a heel, I don't know how you see it, Matt, but when I see Natalya, it's like when I'm seeing her say all these bad things, I can tell she's acting. You know, like she's really acting when she has to be nasty, and it's very blatant to see, because and the problem is Natalya, I think fans would find it too difficult to boo her sometimes, because she's such a nice person that we see, and she's always helpful. And when people are watching that TV series, how the hell can you relate to anything that's going on in the ring and take it that offensive? I kind of feel she's in the wrong role, even though people might say, well, at least she's kind of doing something. And you know, for a long time I felt like there wasn't doing anything, and I thought it would be a good move. But the problem is, especially up against Nikki Bella, who also is changed tack from being a heel, I think this is a classic case of where fans are just a little bit confused when they're watching these two. They're like, well, you know, there's nothing really to get behind, and it's difficult to get, you know, lose yourself in it, because you watch them every week if you're watching Total Divas, like, and you see their personalities, and I think a lot more people would relate easier with Natalya than they would Nikki Bella, and yet you're asking for the opposite. Now I know that they're things, you know, the hatred is supposed to be there and all the rest of it, but to be honest, I find it very hard to buy, and I think Natalya is one of the best underrated women's wrestlers that they have, 100%. I think she really hasn't been used that well when she could have been, and you know, I just feel like this is the wrong kind of feud for her. I kind of felt like that first one was good with Becky, but I kind of felt like Nikki, in a sense, just was the wrong person to put her up against. I'm not saying they have the worst matches, but in terms of a feud, and it looks like it's going to go on longer, which I'm kind of worried about as well. as far as the match goes, Matt, you said you enjoyed it. What stars did you give this? And obviously a little bit of a disappointing to the double count out, because it means we probably are going to go on further with these two.
Well, I was going back and forth between a 3 and a 3.5. I was feeling like 3.5 right up until the end, but
right.